This is a update on my last video. I wanted to focus more on symptoms I felt and like the first 3 months. For me, it was obviously the bump that I had just appeared. But those weren't my only symptoms. I also started coughing a lot. Coughing, have shortness of breath. Anytime I was laying down for a long period of time, I felt like I was drowning, and then just kept coughing and coughing. But yeah, I did have a really bad cough. A cough that I could not stop unless I threw up. Yeah, so it was, I don't know what like offset it, but anytime I would be talking for a long period of time, or if I would eat anything, I would start coughing. And that was the hardest part, being able to eat, because anytime I tried eating anything, I would just keep coughing until I threw up and nothing would stay down. So I ended up getting my diagnosis that I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the doctor ended up telling me that I should be seen by doctors here in the US pretty quickly, because she gave me like an emergency referrals for oncologist and a neck throat specialist. So I ended up calling the doctors for an appointment, and they couldn't see me. One of the doctors was out on vacation, and the other doctor had said that they weren't sure how urgent it was, that the doctor had to review the diagnosis and and then go from there. So I pretty much had like a month to wait, a month and a half to wait, and all my symptoms were just getting worse. I kept coughing more, kept throwing up more. I wasn't able to breathe. And then I had an aunt who also went through cancer, and she went through an oncologist in Guadalajara, and I kept trying to call him to see if he could schedule me an appointment, or at least a consultation, to see me, because at this point I was just so in over my head. I needed help. I felt like I was just slowly dying. It's morbid to say, but I felt that way. I was getting weaker and weaker, and every day I couldn't eat, I couldn't stomach anything. I couldn't breathe. I do have pimples. Actually, no. I think this one's a pimple, but it could be eczema. I don't know, but I put some eczema cream on both of them because they were like itchy. Anyways, I ended up going to the neck specialist, and the neck specialist really didn't tell me anything new. Just that he would be the one to see me if I needed surgery to remove this. But realistically, the cancer that I have is like a blood cancer. It's all over my body, and they can't do surgery when your cancer is all over your body. So my only hope would be chemo. And so he just said that I needed to see oncology. And I'm like, oh my God, but oncology, I'm not going to see oncology for another freaking couple weeks. I decided to call the doctor in Mexico one more time. I was all like, I haven't called him in a couple days. I'm just going to try calling, And he answered, and I didn't know what to do. I was so nervous. But he agreed to do like a FaceTime consultation. And he was so optimistic, so warm, so sweet to me. And he could see me like that in 2 days, that day, or in 2 days or something like that. Like, it was so soon. And I was like, oh my God, I'll see you on Friday. I had called on Wednesday, I think. And I was like, I'll see you this Friday, whatever. And I was just so desperate to get help. And I was just like, okay, I'll go, whatever. So I ended up booking the tickets to Mexico. And he ended up telling me that I needed to get these tests done, and the day before. So I was so nervous, like, oh my God, are they, like, the offices in Mexico, are they gonna be like freaking the US and taking like a month to see me? Like, this is gonna be so crazy. But no, like, I got to Mexico on Thursday. So we flew that night of when I did the FaceTime call with him. I booked a flight and Airbnb that same night. Got to Guadalajara in the morning on Thursday. And then on Thursday, I ended up calling like the nearest like labs that did like x-rays and all that kind of stuff. And I was seen that Thursday. I was pretty much there, I will say, like for like 4 or 5 hours at the clinic or whatever that was doing it. It was a really nice clinic, and they had to do x-rays on my chest. I was pretty shocked. I was like, why are they having me do x-rays on my chest? But anyways, I had to do x-rays on my chest, and then I had to drink this like liquid because they were gonna do this scan in this machine, like this big machine. And they said that I needed to drink this liquid. It was disgusting, so disgusting, but whatever. So I drank that liquid. They had me go in, and they were like, this is gonna be painful. You're gonna feel like a burning sensation, kind of be like in your veins, because they're gonna put an IV or something, not an IV, but a needle in, and to put the liquid in your veins or something. I don't know. I don't really know exactly. I'm horrible at describing, but they had me sit in this machine. They had me sit in this machine, and then the machine kind of like did an overall scan from like, I want to say my knees to like my head, and they had me go inside that like MRI looking machine. I went the day that I had to see the doctor. I ended up going in the morning to pick up my results, and then I went to go see the doctor, and then the doctor kind of looked over the results and found out that my cancer had spread to my lungs, my heart, and my stomach. So the lymph nodes that go down here, down like in your body, were all like swollen, like my neck. They were swollen inside, and that's why I was having a hard time breathing. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to breathe. And that was why, because my lymph nodes were so swollen, preventing me from being able to breathe. And he was able to see that with the x-rays and things. And so he just said, yeah, we'll start your treatment right now. So that same day on Friday was my first chemo treatment.
¿Ya lo recogieron?
First chemo treatment.
Yeah.
My mom was there with me, and when we got there, we sat there, and I was getting my first, because there's 3 bags that I get every treatment. I was getting the first bag, which is like a medicine to help with nausea, so you're not throwing up after treatment and things. So just for my first bag, like my mom was like crying, so then that triggered me to cry, and so we were just crying. And then I was going on to my second bag, which is like this orange bag that has the medicine inside, and that one burned. Like it burns as it's going in. It burns your veins. Like I don't know, like it burns my wrist when it's going in. I don't know how to explain it, but it burns. Let's fast forward now that I'm halfway with my treatments. The doctor had told me that I needed 12 treatments in total, because every 2 weeks I have to get a test done that they see, which tells them if I can get treatment or not. Like if I'm healthy enough, if I have enough hemoglobins or platelets or whatever enough, if pretty much my exams go well, then I could get treatment every 2 weeks. If they do not see that all the cancer is out of my body, then that's when I would have to go and start radiation. And radiation would be a little bit more intensive, more expensive, obviously, and it would be every week, and that would be like another, I don't know how many sessions, a couple of months worth of radiation. And yeah, so I'm hoping, I'm praying, but now that I'm 6 months in, I will say that after my first cancer treatment, right at like literally that night, I was able to sleep. Like I was able to sleep. I didn't wake up not being able to breathe. I didn't wake up and coughing. I was able to breathe, and the next day my bump, like I'll put in a picture, like my bump was down, lower than before. It wasn't like completely gone, but it was smaller than before. Like I've never seen it that small. I was so used to having my big old alien. And like if I could say now, knowing, being halfway done with my chemo, it's not the way that I thought it was going to be. And I will say that chemotherapy for every person is different. Like my aunt experienced different symptoms than I did when she was in chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is different for every patient, especially different cancers, which I never knew. I was so ignorant. I was like, oh, chemo is for, they give the same chemo to everybody. No, they give different medicine for different diseases and different cancers. And then mine, I met a girl who was going through the same thing me. She has Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she got sick, like sick with the chemotherapy. Like, I heard that, she was losing a lot more hair and throwing up and feeling sick. And I will say, the last time I threw up was before chemo. I have not thrown up. I have felt nauseous some days where I feel like kind of nauseous, but it's not something that I can power through, The worst symptom I felt through this is psychological. It's a psychological battle that I've been dealing with. And I think it's because everybody's been telling me, like, you got to be strong, you got to be strong, you got to be strong. Like, I have not given myself, like, a breath to feel sorry for myself and just feel sad. Like, hey, you're going through something tough. Like, it's okay to feel sad, and it's okay to feel weak, and it's okay to not feel okay. And I didn't give myself that for the longest time. And it wasn't until my last chemo treatment 2 weeks ago in the airport that I had a breakdown. I had a breakdown, and I went into the bathroom, and I was just sobbing. Like I couldn't stop. It's just like tears were just, normally I could pull myself together, and I'm just like, get yourself together. And I couldn't. And I knew that's when I had to just let it out. I went to the bathroom, and I just cried, and I cried, and I cried. I don't even know how long I cried for. But I needed to let myself feel sad. I needed to let myself feel sorry for myself for 1 second, for just a beat. Like, you're going through some shit. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel bad about what's going on with you. You don't have to be strong 24/7. And it's very tiring, and my body does get tired very easily now. I think that's the first thing that I noticed, first like symptom that I noticed, is that I get tired really easily, and I just want to lay down. It feels like my legs hurt the most, like my bones hurt. And then, there's like other symptoms that I found out, like my tips of my fingers feel numb, and I asked the doctor, and he's just like, yeah, that's just because one of the medications that they're giving me affects my nerves, and it also affects my hearing. And I'm like, oh, no wonder I'm like deaf. Like, I really cannot hear. Like, some people, when they're talking to me, like I can't hear, or I talk really loud because I can't hear myself. Realistically, I felt like I was losing more hair before chemo than during chemo, because now I'm still losing hair. Believe me, I'm still losing the hair, but I'm not losing it in the quantities that I was before, like in balls, like balls full of hair, and I'm having bald spots. No, like my hair's very thin, like I can do this little bun. You can't even see it. Like, it's so tiny. It's like I have a tiny little bun. Because I have really thin, brittle hair. Like, it's just, it's weak. So yeah, those are a couple symptoms that I've been feeling. And what they did say is that your skin renews a lot quicker, so you're gonna see a lot of like peeling. Like, your skin's gonna be peeling, and I've noticed that on my legs and my arms, how they're like shedding. But again, I don't care. If anything, it's giving me really good skin. If there's gonna be any positive with chemo, it's giving me really good skin. Anyways, thank you for hearing me. I will keep you guys updated on my next update whenever it comes.